International Justice Day, I celebrate the increased recognition within the global community that prevention and response to conflict-related sexual violence is a vital factor to ensure sustainable peace, security, and development. We celebrate that there's one standing conviction at the International Criminal Court of a commander who was responsible for sexual violence and sexual slavery committed by his troops. We celebrate that today, early this year, 2020, there has been a confirmation of charges in the Central African Republic for rape and attempted rape. Around the globe, from Guatemala to the Democratic Republic of Congo to the Central African Republic to Guinea, there are continued efforts to hold state and non-state perpetrators of conflict-related sexual violence accountable for these violations. However, while these efforts are laudable, and we continue to urge states and communities around the world to keep up these efforts, they pale in comparison to the scale and magnitude of conflict-related sexual violence around the globe and in numerous conflict-related contexts around the world. So we must begin to see more convictions. We must begin to see more commitment by states, more investments, and more concerted efforts by communities around the world to ensure that we can indeed see that conflict-related sexual violence is an international crime, it affects human rights, and we cannot continue to allow that the bodies of women, girls, men, and boys around our communities be used as battlefields. To see this, there are 4 things that we must begin to do in greater earnest. First, address the discrimination and underlying stereotypes that continue to perpetuate conflict-related sexual violence. With the inequality that persists in our communities, it continues to be difficult for survivors to come forward and report their violations. Only when we genuinely address the inequalities within our communities can there be greater effort to document, investigate, and prosecute conflict-related sexual violence. Secondly, ensure that there's enhanced investments in proper collection, documentation, and preservation of evidence, including medical forensic evidence to support accountability for conflict-related sexual violence. A laudable effort is illustrated in the case of Kavumu in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2018, where multi-sectoral efforts and partnerships between service providers in the law enforcement sector, health sector, and judiciary resulted in the conviction of 11 non-state militia actors, including a parliamentarian, for crimes against humanity against young girls who were systematically raped and sexually violated within their community. Thirdly, we need to begin to see greater investments by non-state actors such as civil society actors in holding states to account for their obligations. Strategic litigation has been ongoing in numerous contexts, and we call on development partners and organizations around the world to continue to push these efforts, such as in Kenya, where there is a standing constitutional petition in the High Court that seeks state accountability for reparations and investigations and accountability for post-election violence committed in 2007 to 2008. 30 years after violations were committed in Guatemala, civil society organizations and victims groups stood together to secure accountability against military officers in the Sepuzako case. And this demonstrates to us that with commitment, concerted efforts, we can begin to see much greater accountability and responsibility, not just by perpetrators, but also by states to ensure that conflict-related sexual violence becomes a thing of the past. I celebrate the survivors of conflict-related sexual violence who continue to come forward amidst great turmoil, amidst great stigma and ostracization by their communities, amidst great reprisal from perpetrators who have committed these violations. We pray that more survivors can come forward, can be supported to come forward, because it is only through collaboration with these survivors that we can begin to fight stigma and end impunity for sexual violence day to day and for mass rapes that continue to occur in conflict situations.